Thermodynamics is an important branch of science in which we study the flow of energy, especially the heat energy. So, today we are going to discuss definition of thermodynamics, system, surroundings and boundary, types of thermodynamic systems, intensive and extensive properties, state functions and path functions, thermodynamic processes, reversible and irreversible processes and concept of heat. The study of flow of heat to or from a system or from surroundings is called thermodynamics. The part of the universe which is under thermodynamic consideration is called system and all other universe is called surroundings. The real or imaginary separation between system and surroundings is called boundary. Here you can see that this is system, separation between system and surroundings is called boundary. Here boundary is imaginary separation between system and surroundings. When a system is uniform throughout, it is known as a homogeneous system. Some examples of homogeneous systems are pure solid, pure liquid, pure gas or true solutions of liquid-liquid, gas-gas or solids in gases. A homogeneous system is made up of one phase only. A phase is defined as homogeneous, physically distinct and mechanically separable portion of the system. Heterogeneous system is not uniform throughout. Heterogeneous system is normally made up of two or more than two phases. For example, ice in contact with liquid water or ice in contact with water vapor or liquid water in contact with water vapor are the examples of heterogeneous systems. Here, ice, water and water vapor are different phases. Let us discuss what is system. There are three types of thermodynamic systems depending upon the nature of the boundary: isolated system, closed system and open system. When the boundary of the system is insulated and sealed both, the system is called isolated system. Therefore, an isolated system is one that cannot transfer energy and matter both with surroundings. A substance like hot water placed in a thermos flask is an example of isolated system. In closed system, the boundary is sealed but not thermally insulated. Matter cannot be exchanged with surroundings, but energy in the form of heat or radiation or work can be exchanged with surroundings. For example, some hot water placed in a sealed tube is an example of closed system. Here, water vapor cannot be escaped from the system, but heat can be transferred to surroundings. A gas contained in a cylinder fitted with a piston is also another example of closed system. In an open system, neither the boundary is sealed nor it is insulated. Hence, matter as well as energy or heat can be transferred to surroundings. A hot cup of water placed on table is an example of open system, or zinc granules reacting with hydrochloric acid is also another example of open system. Here, hydrogen gas is produced which can be escaped from the system and heat evolved also escapes from the system. Hence, this system is an open system where matter as well as energy can be exchanged with surroundings. You can have a look on this figure. In first figure, the boundary is sealed as well as it is insulated. Hence, neither the energy nor the matter can be exchanged with surroundings. In second figure, boundary is sealed but not insulated. Hence, energy can be exchanged with surroundings but not the matter. In third figure, boundary is neither sealed nor insulated, hence energy as well as matter both can be exchanged with the surroundings. Therefore, first system is isolated one, second one is closed system, and third one is an open system. Let us classify properties. There are two types of properties, intensive properties and extensive properties. A property which does not depend on the amount of the matter contained in a system is called intensive property. Some examples of intensive properties are temperature, density, concentration, etc. Let us take an example of temperature in detail. If a glass of water has a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius, then any drop of water from that glass will have a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. Similarly, if the concentration of salt, sodium chloride in a glass of water is 0.1 moles per liter, then every drop of the water will have the same concentration. Hence, concentration or temperature are intensive properties. On the other hand, the properties which depend on the amount of matter contained in the system are called extensive properties. For example, volume, number of moles, entropy, enthalpy, free energy, etc. Extensive properties are additive, but intensive properties are non-additive. Let us consider the system a glass of water. If we double the amount of the water in the glass, then its mass and its volume will also be doubled. Hence, these properties are not the intensive one, but these are extensive properties. Similarly, internal energy or free energy of the water will also be changed. Hence, internal energy or free energy are also extensive properties. For the study of thermodynamics, it is very useful to understand what is thermodynamic state. The thermodynamic state of a system is defined by the set of conditions that completely specifies all the physical and chemical properties of the system. This set commonly includes the temperature, pressure, composition. Composition means identity and number of molecules of all the components, and physical state of the substances. Once this set of conditions is fixed, all other physical and chemical properties are also fixed. The properties of a system such as pressure, volume, temperature are called state functions. Actually, state functions are those properties which do not depend on the path or the process by which the system has attained that state. State functions depends only on the state of the system. A change in state function describes a difference between the two states, that is initial state and final state. For instance, if we consider a sample of water with a temperature of 30 degrees Celsius at 1 atmosphere pressure, if at some later time its temperature is 22 degrees Celsius, then the change in temperature is just 8 degrees Celsius. It does not matter whether this cooling was done directly, slowly, speedily, or the sample of water first heated to 40 degrees Celsius and then cooled to 10 degrees Celsius and then again heated to 22 degrees Celsius. The change in temperature just depends on the initial state of the temperature and final state of the temperature. Initial state was 30 degrees Celsius, final state was 22 degrees Celsius, hence change in temperature is just 8 degrees Celsius. This property does not depend on the process or the path by which the particular state has been arrived. Hence, this change in temperature is a state function. The most important use of state functions in thermodynamics is to describe the changes in the system. We describe the difference in any quantity x as dx equal to final x minus initial x. If the quantity x increases, the final x will be greater than initial x and dx will have a positive sign. But if this quantity x decreases, the final x will be less than initial x and this quantity x will have a negative sign. Any property of the system which depends only on the values of state functions is also a state function. For example, volume of the system depends only on the pressure and temperature of the system. As pressure and temperature are state functions, hence volume of the system is also a state function. Now we are going to discuss non-state functions or path functions. Non-state functions or path functions are the functions which depend on the path or the process by which the particular state has been arrived by the system. For example, let us have a look on this figure. At latitudes and longitudes x1, y1 and x2, y2, the corresponding altitudes at A and B are fixed quantities. Altitude is therefore a state function. The amount of work done and distance travelled in climbing from A to B depends upon the path. The work and the distance travelled are therefore path functions. Now we are going to discuss a process and types of processes. When a thermodynamic system changes its state from one to another, the overall operation is called a process. There are 5 types of processes: isothermal process, adiabatic process, isobaric process, isochoric process and cyclic process. An isothermal process is one in which temperature remains constant throughout the process, that is dT is equal to 0. This is often achieved by placing the system in a thermostat. In adiabatic process, no energy or heat can be exchanged between the system and the surroundings. This can be achieved by placing the system in a thermos flask, means in insulated system. Here dQ is equal to 0. High vacuum and highly polished surfaces help to achieve the adiabatic process. Isobaric processes are those in which pressure remains constant throughout the process. For example, if we are boiling water in an open vessel, then this is done at a constant atmospheric pressure. Hence, this process is isobaric process. For isobaric process, dP is equal to 0 because pressure remains constant throughout the process. In isochoric process, volume remains constant. If a reaction is done in a bomb calorimeter, it is done at constant volume, or if the heating of a substance in a non-expanding chamber, it is also done at a constant volume. Hence, these are isochoric processes. For isochoric processes, dV will be equal to 0. Cyclic process. When a system in a given state goes through a number of operations and comes back to its initial state, then it is called a cycle, or the process is called a cyclic process. For a cyclic process, du, that is change in internal energy, and dH, that is change in enthalpy, is equal to 0. You can have a look on all the 5 types of processes in this figure. In first figure, from A to B, this process is isobaric process because pressure remains constant throughout from A to B. If you see A to C, this process is isochoric process because volume remains same throughout the process from A to C. On the curve AD, you can see that this is isothermal process, and A to E is an adiabatic process. In the second figure, you can see a cyclic process. From F to G, the process goes isobarically, from G to H isochorically, and from H to F adiabatically. F is the initial state of the system. Hence, the system attains its initial state after three different processes: isobaric, isochoric and adiabatic. Hence, a cycle is completed and this process is known as a cyclic process. Processes can also be classified as reversible process and irreversible process. This classification is very important in thermodynamics. A thermodynamic reversible process is one that takes place infinitesimally slowly and its direction at any point can be reversed by an infinitesimal change in the state of the system. Actually, a reversible process is considered to proceed from its initial stage to final stage through an infinite number of infinitesimal small stages. The reversible process remains in equilibrium with its surroundings at initial stage, at final stage and at all the intermediate stages. It is because a reversible process proceeds through infinite number of stages in which a small or negligible change in state occurs at every step. And because of this negligible change, the system remains in equilibrium with the surroundings at every point. When a process goes from the initial to the final state in a single step and cannot be carried in the reverse order, it is said to be an irreversible process. Here the system is in equilibrium state in the beginning and at the end, but not at points in between. Consider a certain quantity of gas placed in a cylinder with a weightless and frictionless piston. This gas can expand in two ways: reversible process or by irreversible process. You can have a look on this figure. In first figure, reversible expansion have been shown and in second figure, irreversible expansion have been shown. Let the pressure applied to the piston be P and this is equal to the internal pressure of the gas. Since the external and internal pressures are exactly counterbalanced, the piston remains stationary and there is no change in volume of the gas. Now suppose the pressure on the piston is decreased by an small amount dP. Thus, the external pressure of the piston is P minus dP. The piston moves up and the gas will expand by an infinitesimal small amount. The gas will therefore be expanded infinitely slowly, that is by a thermodynamically reversible process. At all the stages in the expansion of the gas, dP being negligibly small, the gas is maintained in a state of equilibrium throughout. If at any point of the process the pressure is increased by dP, the gas would contract reversibly. On the other hand, the expansion is irreversible in second figure. If the pressure on the piston is decreased suddenly, it moves upward rapidly in a single operation. The gas is in equilibrium state in the initial and final stages only. The expansion of the gas in this case takes place in an irreversible manner. Let us differentiate reversible and irreversible processes. Reversible process takes place in infinite number of infinitesimally small steps and it would take infinite time to occur. But irreversible process takes place in finite time. Reversible process is imaginary as it assumes the presence of frictionless and weightless piston, but irreversible process is real and can be performed actually. Reversible process is in equilibrium state at all stages of the operation, but irreversible process is in equilibrium state only at the initial and final stages of the operation. In reversible process, all changes are reversed when the process is carried out in reversible direction. But in irreversible process, after the process has occurred, all changes do not return to the initial state by themselves. Reversible process is extremely slow, but irreversible process proceeds at measurable speeds. Work done by a reversible process is greater than the corresponding irreversible process, and work done by irreversible process is smaller than the corresponding reversible process. For the study of thermodynamics, heat and work are two important terms. Let us define heat. Heat is a form of energy. Heat is defined as the energy which flows into or out of the system because of the difference in temperature. As long as the system and its surroundings are in thermal contact and they are not in thermal equilibrium, that is, if their temperature is not same, heat flows from the system to the surroundings or from the surroundings to the system to maintain the temperature equality or thermal equilibrium. Heat flows from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. When temperature of system and surroundings become equal, then there will be no heat flow between them. Other forms of energy like chemical energy, mechanical energy or electrical energy tends to be transformed into heat energy. Actually, energy transformed is equal to heat and heat energy is equal to transformed energy. All the substances require an input of heat energy to raise their temperature, and if the temperature of the system is lowered, same amount of heat energy is released from the substance. A solid requires heat energy to melt, and similarly a liquid requires heat energy to get vaporized. If these changes are reversed, then same amount of heat energy will be released. One of the units of heat energy is calorie. 1 calorie is equal to the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram water through 1 degree Celsius. 1 calorie is equal to 4.184 joules, or we can say 1 joule is equal to 0.2390 calories. As heat and work are interrelated, hence joule can also be taken as a unit of heat. We can also say that 1 kilocalorie is equal to 4.184 kilojoules. The symbol of heat is Q. If the heat flows from the surroundings into the system, then the heat content of the system rises and the sign of Q will be positive. But if the heat flows from the system to the surroundings, the net content of the heat in the system will get lowered. Hence, the sign of heat will be equal to negative, that is minus Q. In this figure, you can see if system absorbs heat, the sign of Q is positive, and if system releases heat or heat is given out from the system, the sign of Q is negative. Hence, if heat content of the system is increased, it is given by plus Q, and if heat content of the system is decreased, it is given as minus Q. Let us revise what we have learnt today. Thermodynamics is the study of heat flow from or to the system. System is that part of the universe which is under thermodynamic considerations, and all other universe is called surroundings. A separation between system and surrounding, which can be real or imaginary, is called boundary. There are three types of systems: isolated system, closed system, and open system. Properties can be defined in two ways: intensive properties and extensive properties. Intensive properties are those properties which are independent on the amount of matter contained in the system, but extensive properties are the properties which depend upon the amount of the matter contained in the system. State functions are those functions which depend only on the state of the system. State functions are independent on the process or the path by which that state has been attained, but non-state functions or path functions depend on the process or the path by which that state has been attained. There are 5 types of thermodynamic processes: isothermal process, in which temperature remains constant; adiabatic process, in which there is no heat change between surroundings and system takes place; isobaric process, in which pressure remains constant; isochoric process, in which volume remains constant; and cyclic process. A cyclic process comes back to its initial state after a number of operations. Reversible processes are those processes in which system and surroundings remains in equilibrium throughout the process from its initial state to final state. These processes are infinitesimally slow, but irreversible processes occurs at measurable speed. The form of energy which flows from or to a system because of the difference in temperature between the system and surroundings is called heat, and the unit of heat generally used are calories and joules. 1 calorie is equal to 4.184 joules. In continuation to this, in our next lecture, we will discuss thermodynamic work done.